Imagine this. The moment your soul begins to separate from your body, everything you once trusted starts to fade. The noise of the world, the voices, the distractions, the ambitions, they all collapse into silence. What once felt permanent now feels like a distant illusion. And in that silence, a terrifying realization begins to rise. This was never your real home. You try to hold on, you try to breathe, but something is different. Something is pulling you away, gently for some, violently for others. And deep inside, a truth you once ignored becomes undeniable. You are leaving, and there is no return. This is the moment no one can escape. For years, you lived as if this day would never come. You planned your future, chased your desires, delayed your repentance. You thought there would always be more time. But now, time itself has abandoned you. The clock has stopped, and the reality you denied is standing right in front of you. And then you see them, not people, not shadows, but beings you have never seen before. Their presence is overwhelming. Their faces carry no emotion you can understand, yet their purpose is clear. For the believer, they come with calmness, with peace. But for others, their presence alone is enough to shake the soul. At that moment, your pulb begins to tremble, not from physical pain, but from realization. Because now you understand, the adunya you loved is gone, the frus you wasted are gone. The warnings you ignored are now your reality. And as your soul is taken layer by layer, you begin to feel something deeper than fear. It is a regret, not the small regret of missed opportunities in life, but a heavy, suffocating regret that presses against your very existence. A regret that whispers, "If only I had listened." But there is no "if only" anymore. You are no longer in control. You are being taken to a destination that was always written, a destination you prepared for, or neglected. And as your soul is carried forward, the distance between you and the world increases. The people you love cannot follow you. The wealth you gathered cannot protect you. The status you built cannot speak for you. You are alone, completely alone. This is where the illusion breaks. In life, you were surrounded by distractions, friends, entertainment, ambitions, but now, stripped of everything, you stand with only your deeds. Every word, every action, every intention, they are no longer hidden, they are alive, waiting. And then comes a realization so heavy, it feels like it will crush you. This journey is only the beginning, because what lies ahead is far greater than death itself. You begin to sense it, even before you see it, a presence, a weight in the unseen, something that makes your soul uneasy, something that tells you the Al-Qadim is not like anything you have ever known. For some, this moment is filled with peace, a gentle transition, a feeling of relief. But for others, it is the beginning of fear that has no comparison, a fear that does not fade because it is not of this world. And as you are carried forward, one thought echoes louder than anything else. What have I truly prepared for this moment? Not what you achieved, not what you owned, not what people thought of you, but what you did when no one was watching. Because now, every al-haqiqah is exposed, and the most terrifying part is this. You already know the answer. There is no need for explanation, no need for argument, no need for denial. Deep within, you already know what awaits you. And that is what makes this moment so unbearable. Because as reality settles in, as the veil is lifted, as the truth becomes clear, you realize something that changes everything. There is no escape, not now, not ever. And what comes next will make this moment feel small. Imagine standing before something so azim, so overwhelming, that your mind refuses to process what your eyes are seeing. You thought you understood fear. You thought you knew what danger looked like. But what stands before you now is not fear as you knew it. It is something far greater, something final. The gates of Jahannam are not like anything you imagined. They are not just doors. They are not simple entrances. They are massive, towering realities that stretch beyond your vision as if they were built to contain something too terrifying for this world. And as you are brought closer, you begin to feel it, not just see it. A heat that does not touch your skin alone, but reaches deeper, as if it is burning through your very existence. And then you hear it, a sound unlike anything you have ever heard before, not just screams, not just cries, but a roar, a deep, furious roar that shakes everything around it. It is as if Jahannam itself is alive, waiting, breathing, ready. Allah describes it as a fire that when it sees them from a distance, they will hear its raging and roaring. And in that moment you realize something terrifying. This is not a place you enter silently. This is a place that recognizes you. As you are brought forward, surrounded by forces you cannot resist, the gates begin to open. Not gently, not slowly, but with a presence that makes your soul tremble. And behind those gates stand beings unlike anything you have ever encountered. The guardians of Jahannam. They are not like humans. They are not like anything khalaq in this world. They do not hesitate. They do not feel sympathy. Their purpose is absolute. Their obedience is perfect. And their presence alone is enough to break whatever strength you thought you had. These are the angels of punishment. You once thought angels only brought mercy, guidance, protection, but now you see another side, one that reflects the justice of Allah. Their faces are stern, their gaze does not turn away, and their words carry no softness. They ask a question that echoes with weight. Did a warner not come to you? And in that moment your past flashes before you. The reminders you ignored, the signs you dismissed, the warnings you delayed. Every opportunity you had to turn back now stands as evidence against you. And what can you say? Nothing, except the truth you tried to avoid. As the gates open wider, the reality inside becomes clearer. Flames that do not flicker like the fire of this world, but rise and crash like waves. Darkness mixed with fire. Heat mixed with despair. It is not just a place. It is a state of existence where punishment is constant and relief does not exist. You thought fire was something you could understand, something you could endure for a moment, but this is a fire created for consequence. And as you stand there on the edge of Dukhul, a realization strikes deeper than anything before. Everything you were warned about was true. The dunya that distracted you now feels smaller than a memory. The sins you thought were insignificant now feel heavy. The arrogance, the delay, the excuses, they all collapse into one overwhelming truth. You were told, again and again you were told, and yet you chose to look away. The gates continue to open and the force pulling you forward becomes stronger. There is no resistance left, no argument, no escape. The nafs that once resisted obedience now cannot resist what is written, and as you cross that threshold, even before fully entering, you feel something change. Hope begins to fade, because inside these gates, hope is not what you knew. It is not something easily held. It is something distant, something almost unreachable. And the most terrifying part is not just what you see, it is what you begin to understand, that what lies beyond these gates is not temporary. It is not a moment. It is not something you wake up from. It is a reality that continues. As the gates of Jahannam close behind you, one truth settles into your soul like never before. You have entered a place that was always real, and everything that comes next is only getting worse. Imagine the hottest fire you have ever felt. A flame that forced you to pull your hand back in seconds, a heat so intense it made your skin scream for relief. Now forget that feeling, because what lies ahead is nothing like it. The fire of Jahannam is not like the fire of this world. It is not something you can compare. It is not something your mind can fully understand. The Prophet told us that the fire of this world is only a small portion of the fire of hell. just a fraction. And if that is true, then what you are about to face is beyond anything your body was ever created to tahammul. But this fire does not just burn the skin, it burns deeper. As you are brought closer, the heat does not wait for contact. It reaches you before the flames even touch you. It surrounds you, enters you, overwhelms you. It is not just around you, it feels like it is dakhil you. And when it finally touches you, you realize something terrifying. This pain is not temporary. In this world, pain has limits. Your body shuts down, your nerves fail, you lose consciousness. But in Jahannam, there is no escape like that. The body is recreated again and again, so the punishment can continue. Every time the skin burns away, it is replaced. Every time the pain reaches its peak, it begins again. Not less, not easier, but the same, or worse. And in that moment, you understand something that shakes you completely. This fire was not created to destroy you. It was created to make you feel, to make you experience the consequence. Without end. You try to move. You try to escape the flames, but there is nowhere to go. Every direction leads to more fire. Above you, below you, around you, it is all the same. The alad itself burns. The air itself burns. Even what you breathe feels like fire entering your chest. And then comes a thirst. Not the thirst you felt in this world, not something a sip of water could satisfy. This is a thirst that dries your entire existence, a thirst that makes you desperate, willing to take anything just to feel relief. And when something is given to you, it is not what you hoped for, boiling liquid. So hot that before it even reaches your lips, its heat is unbearable. But desperation is stronger than fear. And when you drink, it tears through you, burning everything in its path, from your mouth to your throat to your stomach. And still, it does not end. This is not punishment you can adjust to. There is no privikanya, no getting used to it. Every moment feels new. Every second feels like the first time you experience it. The intensity never decreases. The pain never fades. And as the flames rise around you, something else becomes clear. This fire is not random, it is precise. Every punishment fits the actions you once did. Every consequence matches a choice you made. Nothing is unjust, nothing is accidental. It is exact, down to the smallest detail. And that is what makes it even more terrifying, because deep inside you know this is what you earned. Not what was forced on you, not what happened by mistake, but what you chose. Again and again, when you had the chance to turn back, the memories begin to return. Moments you ignored, sins you justified, warnings you laughed at. And now each one feels heavier than the flames themselves, because the fire is not just outside you, it is inside you. A burning regret that does not cool. A realization that does not leave, and as the punishment continues, as the flames consume and recreate, one thought repeats in your mind, louder than anything else. If only I had taken it seriously. If only you had paused. If only you had listened. If only you had acted before it was too late. But Jahannam is not a place of if only, it is a place of reality, a reality where the fire does not stop, where the pain does not end, where the body burns, but never disappears. And as you stand within that fire, surrounded by a punishment that never weakens, you begin to understand something even more terrifying. This is only one part of Jahannam, and what comes next will be even worse. What if the fire was not the worst part? What if beyond the flames were punishments so precise, so overwhelming, that even the beings created without fear were affected by their magnitude? Because Jahannam is not just fire, it is a system of justice, a place where every action you once took returns to you in a form you cannot escape. And as you begin to witness more, you realize something that shakes you deeper than the flames ever could. The punishments here are not random, they are personal. You see people whose faces are no longer like faces, distorted, dragged, burned and reshaped again and again. You see bodies that are forced into positions of humiliation, positions that reflect the arrogance they once carried in the world. Those who walked the earth with pride now crawl. Those who ignored the truth now cannot escape it. Those who consumed what was forbidden now consume what destroys them. And in that moment, a terrifying understanding settles in. Nothing is forgotten. Every dhulm, every lie, every hidden sin, it is all hunna. Not as memory, but as reality. And then you see something even more disturbing. People being dragged, not walking, not moving on their own, dragged by chains. Chains so heavy, so massive, that if they were placed on mountains, they would shatter them. And yet here, they are wrapped around bodies, pulling them through fire, through darkness, through pain that does not pause. And the angels, they do not hesitate. They do not look away. They carry out their command with absolute obedience, not out of cruelty, but out of justice. Because what you are witnessing is not dhulm. It is the result of what was chosen, and that is what makes it unbearable. You hear voices, not calm voices, not controlled speech, but screams, cries filled with regret, filled with desperation, filled with a realization that has come too late. They call out, they beg, they plead for a second chance, for a moment to go back, to undo what they did. But there is no response, because this is not a place where choices are made anymore. This is where choices are answered. And then comes a punishment that breaks something inside you completely. Food is given, but not food as you knew it. Something so bitter, so disgusting, that even the thought of it would make you turn away in this world. And yet here, hunger forces people toward it. Desperation removes dignity. And when they consume it, it is not satisfying. It increases the pain. It tears through them, just like everything else in this place. And still, it continues. There is no cycle of relief, no moment where the suffering pauses. It is constant, layer upon layer, punishment upon punishment. And in the middle of all this, you begin to understand why even the angels, those who never disobey, those who are created without weakness, carry out this task with such intensity. Because what they are witnessing is the full manifestation of justice, not partial, not emotional, but complete. And even they, in their perfection, recognize the azamat of what is taking place. This is not like anything in the heavens. This is not like anything on the earth. This is the consequence of a life lived without regard for what was to come. And as you stand there, surrounded by punishments that reflect every hidden reality, every ignored warning, every denied truth, you begin to feel something heavier than fear, something deeper than pain, a realization that this could have been avoided, that every moment you lived was a chance, that every reminder was an opportunity, and yet it was all delayed, ignored, pushed aside until now, until this moment where everything is clear and nothing can be changed. And as the punishments continue, as the screams echo without end, as the chains tighten and the fire rises, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. This is not just suffering. This is accountability. And what comes next is not relief. It is something even more unbearable, the realization of what has been lost forever, what is worse than pain that never ends. It is regret that never fades, because in Jahannam the fire burns the body, but regret burns the soul. And unlike the flames, this regret does not come in waves. It does not rise and fall. It stays constant, heavy, unforgiving, and then you begin to hear them, not just screams of pain, but voices filled with something deeper, voices that carry the weight of realization, voices that are no longer arrogant, no longer careless, no longer distracted, voices that finally understand. They call out, not with confidence, but with desperation, not with pride, but with complete surrender. Every kalimat they speak carries one message. Let us go back. Back to the world they once lived in. Back to the moments they wasted. Back to the chances they ignored. But the answer does not come. Because this is not a place of return. This is a place of consequence. And the most painful part is not that they are denied. It is that they already knew this day would come. Every warning they heard, every reminder they saw, every verse they skipped, every moment they delayed change, it all comes back, not as memory, but as truth. And now their voices echo with a realization that cuts deeper than any punishment. We had time, and we lost it. You hear one cry out, wishing for even a single moment, not years, not decades, just one chance to go back and do what they once refused to do. One prayer done sincerely, one sin avoided, one act of obedience that could have changed everything. But even that is no longer possible, because time, the very thing they wasted so easily, is now the one thing they can never touch again. And as these voices rise, something becomes clear. No one is blaming anyone else anymore. No friends, no society, no excuses. Because in this place, truth is exposed completely. And the nafs that once justified everything now admits what it always knew deep inside. I chose this. And that is what makes the regret unbearable. Not that they didn't know, but that they did. They knew right from wrong. They knew what was expected, they knew the consequences, and still, they were delayed. Still, they ignored me. Still, they convinced themselves there would be more time. And now, surrounded by fire, by punishment, by endless consequence, they look back at a life that feels shorter than a moment. All the years, all the opportunities, all the reminders, gone, as if they were nothing. And then comes a cry that shakes everything. A cry not just of pain, but of realization. If only we had listened. If only they had taken the warning seriously. If only they had acted when their hearts were still soft. If only they had turned back before the door closed. But Jahannam is not a place of if only. It is a place where if only becomes a permanent echo. And that echo never stops. You begin to see something even more heartbreaking. People calling out to those they once loved, parents, friends, family, hoping, somehow, someone might help them. But no one answers. Because everyone is consumed with their own reality. Everyone is facing their own account. The connections that once felt unbreakable are now gone, cut off completely, because in this place you stand alone with your deeds, and nothing else remains. And as the voices continue, as regret fills every corner of Jahannam, you begin to understand something that changes everything. The punishment is not just physical, it is emotional, it is psychological, it is spiritual. It is the constant awareness that this could have been different, that this did not have to be your end, that every single moment of your life was a chance to avoid this. And yet, it was not taken. And as that realization settles deeper and deeper, as the voices grow louder, as the regret becomes heavier than the fire itself, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. This is forever. Not a day, not a year, not a lifetime, but something that does not end. And that is what breaks them. Not just the pain, not just the fire, but the certainty that this regret will never fade, that this loss can never be undone, and that the life they once had will never return again. What if, after everything you have just witnessed, there was still a way out, not from Jahannam once you enter it, but before you ever reach it? Because right now, as you listen, as your heart feels the weight of everything described, you are not there. You are still here, breathing, thinking, choosing, and that alone changes everything. Because the most powerful difference between those voices you heard and you is time. They had it and lost it. You still have it, but you don't know for how long, and that is where hope begins. Not the weak kind of hope that people use to ignore reality, but a real, powerful hope. one that comes with responsibility, one that comes with a chance. Because no matter how far someone has gone, no matter what they have done, as long as they are still alive, the door has not closed. Yet, Allah's mercy is not small, it is not limited, it is not something reserved for perfect people. It is vast, wider than your mistakes, greater than your ilmadi, stronger than your daf. But here is the truth most people ignore. Mercy is available, but it is not forced upon you. You must turn toward it. You must choose it, and that is the difference between those who find peace and those who face regret. Because the people of Jahannam were not created to go there. They arrived there through choices, small choices, repeated choices, moments where they knew what was right and still delayed, moments where they felt something in their heart and ignored it, moments where they said, later, but later never came. And now, standing here, still in this life, you are facing the same reality they once faced, not on fire, not in punishment, but in opportunity. Right now, your deeds are still being written, your story is still unfolding, your ending is not decided yet. And that should shake you. Because one day, without warning, you will reach the same moment they reached, the moment where everything stops, the moment where truth becomes undeniable, the moment where there is no more time. So ask yourself, honestly, if that moment came today, right now, would you be ready? Not what you say, not what you show people, but truly, inside. Because deep down, you already know. And that is where change begins, not in grand actions, not in dramatic transformations, but in a decision, a simple, powerful decision, to turn back, to take what you already know, and act on it, to stop delaying what your heart has been telling you, to choose something different before it is too late, because the trick to Jannah is not hidden, it is clear, but it requires sincerity, effort, consistency, and above all, urgency. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when things settle, now. Because time is not something you control, it is something you are given, and it can be taken without notice. So do not let this moment pass like the others. Do not hear this, feel something, and then forget, because that is exactly how regret begins, slowly, quietly, until one day it becomes permanent. Instead, pause, reflect, let this settle in your heart, because what you do next matters more than you realize. And remember this, the same Allah who created Jahannam is the same Allah who calls you toward mercy. The same Allah who warns also forgives. The same Allah who holds people accountable also opens doors for them to return. But those doors will not stay open forever. One day they will close, and on that day no regret will matter. No wish will be accepted, no return will be possible. So while you still can turn, even if it is small, even if it feels difficult, even if you have tried before, turn again, because success is not in never falling, it is always coming back. And perhaps, just perhaps, this moment, this reminder is your chance, a chance that many before you once had and lost. So do not lose it, because the door is still open for now.